Today I'm talking about buying a company car in Ireland. When I went through the process of buying a car through my company, it's kind of complicated. I learned a lot about the process. I've had 3 different cars over the past 3 years, and I wanted to put it all into one video in terms of personal cars versus company cars, what's defined as a commercial vehicle, what can you put through your business depending on which car that you own, are there any tax benefits of getting an EV, what does benefit in kind mean, what are the tax arrangements depending on which car that you buy. For someone who is thinking of buying a car through their company, I think this video will be very helpful for you. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to try and explain it in as simple language as I can. I will say this is not financial advice. Go to your accountant for actual financial advice. I'm just telling it to you from my experience. So I started driving in 2021, and the first car I had was a Volkswagen Polo. It was not a company vehicle. It was a standard passenger car with seats in the back. So the tax treatment that I could give it was pretty limited. The only thing that I could expense was my fuel. Then in 2022, I upgraded my car to a Hyundai i30, but it was a commercial vehicle. It had no seats in the back, so it qualified under the classification of commercial vehicle. Because of that, I was not only able to claim fuel, but also the NCT, if I needed new tires, any repairs to do with the car. All of these things I could write off as business expenses. Then last year, I upgraded from an i30 to a Land Rover Discovery, mainly because I didn't have enough space to carry all of my equipment. Again, that was a manufactured commercial vehicle, so I could fully put the expense through the business and had the same sort of tax treatment as I had with my i30. A question is, well, what is defined as a commercial vehicle? There's 2 distinctions when you're buying a car through your company. Is it a passenger vehicle, aka with seats in the back, or is it a company vehicle with no seats in the back? According to the Revenue Commissioner, a company vehicle is one that is solely used for the purpose of business, and most importantly, it has no side windows or seats in the back. One other distinction that Revenue makes is that a commercial vehicle, in practice, this means that if you buy a car with seats in the back that is a passenger vehicle, it almost always is classified as a private use car, which isn't an issue. It just means that from a tax perspective, the only thing that you can expense through your business is the fuel. There is a gray area sometimes where people say cars can be commercialized, where they buy a passenger vehicle and then they take out the seats in the back. The reason why this is a gray area is because if you ever got inspected, there is an argument there to say that the vehicle wasn't constructed in such a way purely for commercial use. If that rule actually was the case, then people would just buy any personal car that they want, strip out the seats in the back, and then call it commercial. And normal commercial vehicles that people use are stuff like vans, 4x4s with no seats in the back. You can think of taxi cabs with no seats in the back. They also count as commercial vehicles. So if you're trying to convert a vehicle, you need to make sure it genuinely meets the criteria that kind of Revenue have outlined in terms of what they classify as a commercial vehicle. Now, you can still buy a company vehicle with seats in the back through your company, but you're going to trigger something that's called benefit in kind, which is essentially a form of a tax that you pay for using a normal passenger vehicle for company use. Calculate BIK based on 3 factors: the original market value of the car, the amount of business kilometers that you do per year, and the CO2 emissions in the car. The original market value is the value of the car when it first went on sale, and your annual business kilometers is the amount of mileage that you do specifically for business use. So for example, if you went from your office to a client shoot, that counts. If you went from a place that you're living or renting to your office, that doesn't count because you're going from a place of personal to business. In short, the more mileage that you do, the lower your BIK band is going to be. But regardless, you're going to have to pay a percentage every year as benefit in kind on top of the car. You'd need to do the specific calculations for your vehicle, but it can essentially mean that you can pay, you could be paying anywhere from 2 grand on the low end to 10, 15 grand on the high end every single year as a form of tax as BIK. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. That's why I didn't do it, because I didn't want to have to spend that money every year. But that's the main reason why people don't get a passenger vehicle through their business, because of the BIK expense. If you buy a commercial vehicle, the BIK on it is usually only 8%, which is the lowest tax bracket that it can be. So it's a lot higher if you have a passenger vehicle. There is one exception to this, and it's if you want to buy an electric vehicle. The government came out with some rules to lessen the amount of BIK that you spend if you buy electric. That was presumably to boost electric car sales in the country. You want to get a vehicle with seats in the back, but you don't have to pay benefit in kind. You can look that up. You need to buy an EV above 35 grand to get any form of the BIK benefit. If you want to go down that route, I would look into it. One last thing that you can do is take out a personal loan, buy your vehicle personally, and then instead of claiming fuel, you can claim business mileage. So you fill out a sheet that you give to your accountant that he or she will then submit to the revenue, and you send that to your accountant every month, and then you can pull that money tax-free from your business. And that means that you can buy a vehicle with seats in the back, but you can still get some of the tax benefits. I chose to not do that because I don't have a huge amount of mileage that's purely business to business. Therefore, it didn't really make sense for me, but that's another route that you can go down. So what kind of car should you buy if you're running a limited company in Ireland? It all comes down to personal preference. The most tax efficient way of doing it is to buy a commercial vehicle. The pros is that you can put all your costs of the vehicle through the business. The downside is that obviously you're limiting the usability of it because you won't have seats in the back. If you want to get more functionality out of it, you're going to have the trade-off of paying BIK or a higher rate of BIK. If you want to reduce your BIK but you're happy to go with an electric, you can look at that. Option 4 would be taking out the personal loan, getting a car that you like with seats in the back, and then claiming personal mileage and getting that tax-free from your business once you've submitted the mileage claim to your accountant. Again, if you want to get specifics on this, speak to your accountant, because I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just telling you what it was like from my experience. In my opinion, the cleanest way is to just find a vehicle that is classified as commercial and to buy that. If I wanted a car for my own personal use, probably buy it with my own personal money, but each to their own. Hope that was informative, and I'll see you guys next week.